We have come together on this joyous day in the presence of God and these witnesses to celebrate the blessing and the joining together of this man and this woman in holy matrimony. The bond and covenant of marriage was established by God in creation. The union of Rodney Harold Bevins and Courtney Nicole Ferris in heart, body, and mind is intended for their mutual joy, for the help and comfort given one another in prosperity and in adversity. Therefore, marriage is not to be entered into lightly, but reverently and deliberately, and in the accordance with the purpose for which it was instituted by God. I require and charge you both here in the presence of God, that if either of you may know for any reason why you may not be lawfully united in marriage today, you do now confess. You have known each other from the first glance of acquaintance to this point of commitment. At some point, you decided to marry. From the moment of yes to the moment you knew. Indeed, you have been making commitments in an informal way with one another. All of those conversations that were held in a car, over a meal, during long walks, all those conversations that began with, when we're married, and continued with, I will, you will, and we will. All those late night talks that included someday, somehow, maybe, and when. Those promises that are unspoken matters were all from the heart. All these common things and more are the real process of a wedding. The symbolic vows that you are about to make are a way of saying to one another, you know all those things that we promised one another and hoped and dreamed? Well, I meant it. You are the world to me. Look at one another this very moment and cherish this for all of eternity. Before this moment, you have been many things to one another: acquaintances, friends, companions, lovers, dance partners, even teachers to one another. For you have learned much from one another these past few years. Shortly, you shall say a few words that will take you across the threshold of life together, and things between you will never be quite the same. For after today, you shall say to the world, we are one, husband and wife. Rod, will you take this woman to be your wife, to live together in the covenant of marriage?
I will.
Will you love her, comfort her, honor and keep her, and in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, be faithful to her?
I will.
Courtney, will you have this man to be your husband, to live together in the covenant of marriage? Will you honor him, love him, care for him in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, be faithful to him as long as you both shall live? Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy nor boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Now these three things will remain for eternity: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of all these gifts is love. And for the vows, Courtney, if you would go first, please.
What do you do when you get married? You take someone who is just as flawed as you are, and you shackle yourself to them. Then you say, we're not running away no matter what happens. Marriage is an adoption of responsibility to help each other solve the hardest problems within that boundary of permanence, with the knowledge that your vows truly do hold their meaning. Marriage is also a little like a lifelong wrestling match between two worthy adversaries who strengthen each other and help one another to sort out and improve upon their various personal struggles and weaknesses. Rod, you have helped me become the person I am today, and with your help, I will be a better person tomorrow than I was yesterday. Together, let's make ourselves more powerful, more resilient, and wiser. I promise to strive to be my highest, most loving self and shed my fears, insecurities, and doubts for the benefit of us. I will remain faithful to you for better or worse in times of sickness and health. You are my best friend, and I will love you and respect you always. Today, I will take the strands of my life, and you will take the strands of your life, and we will tie them together to make a stronger rope that will keep us united across time.
We first met in person in 2005. My daughter, who's now driving a car, was just about a year old. And I knew the first time we met that we'd someday be standing here like this one day. And a short 16 years later, here we are. When we first met, I thought, man, this is so great. A girl who likes to hunt and fish and likes dogs and the outdoors and doesn't mind sleeping in a tent. You know, we've slept in a tent twice, and that one time wasn't really by choice, but we've also managed to hunt together on a few different continents and build our little life together. I knew even all those years ago that we weren't actually married, that we would be together as long as I'm on this earth. It took a few years back then to finally get you to go on a real date with me. And I think I remember that we went hunting first before we actually went on a real date. But I knew right then that it was always going to be you. And it's been you ever since then. And it hasn't always been easy. There were like 9 or 10 houses that we lived in and 6 or 7 RVs. 45 different states. We lived together and we lived apart. There's 58 dogs that I know about. No cats. A whole pile of different jobs for me. I think we've been on something like, by my calculations, 500 deer hunts together, dozens of cross-country trips. We've given up things in favor of work, and who knows how many sleepless nights, which, looking back, most were my fault. And I apologize for those. You're patient, understanding, flexible, and able to laugh even when I'm not very funny. You love me even when I'm pretty unlikable. You go along with the craziness just so we can get along. And you've always believed in me. With your support and encouragement, we have done things together that I couldn't have done without you. Your happiness is way more important to me than mine, but somehow I'm the one that ends up incredibly happy. And your friendship's been one of the greatest gifts that I've ever received. And because of all that, it's always been you. When my life seems really easy to others, I just smile and think to myself, it's always been you. So this is the vow part, getting there. I promise to defend you, to protect you, and to always be there for you. I swear to hire the contractor even when I can do it myself. I swear to always extend to you the benefit of the doubt. I promise to help you even when you probably don't need the help. I vow to always work towards our common good and to make decisions with you that are best for us. And I promise to talk to you and to shut up sometimes too. And I vow to keep dreaming and keep building our life together and to keep on adventuring with you. I promise to keep on trying to be the person that you actually believe I can be. And I promise to love you always.
Eli, would you like to come forward with the rings, please?
Sorry about that. Just shake it. We'll find it.
Wedding rings serve as a symbol of the covenant you have just spoken to one another. They are the outward and visible sign of an inward and invisible love which binds your hearts together. As a ring is without edges or seams, it has no beginning nor end. So they symbolize the perfection of a love between the two of you that will never end. Repeat after me. Courtney, I give you this ring as a symbol of my vow. With all that I am and all that I have, I will love and honor you.
Courtney, I give you this ring
As a symbol of my vow.
as a symbol of my vow.
With all that I am
With all that I am
and all that I have,
and all that I have,
I will love and
I will
honor you.
honor you.
Go ahead and kiss the ring. Rod, I give you this ring
God, I give you this ring
as a symbol of my vow.
as a symbol of my vow.
With all that I am
With all that I am
and all that I have,
and all that I have,
I will love and honor you.
I will love and honor you.
For as much as Rod and Courtney have consented together in holy wedlock, and have witnessed the same before God and this company, and have given themselves and their love to each other, and have declared the same by the giving and receiving of rings, and by the power invested in me by God in the grand and beautiful state of Alaska, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride.
Hey!
It is my great pleasure to introduce for the very first time Mr. and Mrs. Rod and Courtney Buvine. Bivens. I'm so sorry. Do it again. Just try it again. It is my grand pleasure for the very first time to introduce to you Mr. and Mrs. Rod and Courtney Bivens.
Thanks, Eli.
It's like a sign. Anybody else can be upset.